Okay, so for the Oedipus Rex project, my idea was to do the play in like a very like gothic and like dark and eerie type of tone vibe. So for the setting for it, it's gonna be, I want a large 360-degree theater off of Broadway, and like I said, the setting of it will be like very like dark gothic and eerie look to all the places, kind of like an Addams Family type of vibe, stuff like that. I also try to get characters that would like capture that vibe. So for the main setting, I have like a mansion away from all other towns near, like kind of like how in like stuff you'd seen like Dracula and like stuff like that. Like it's like on top of a hill, like away from everything else. I have a photo. So like something like that, like a dark, eerie mansion. Okay, so for the sets, I have the main room of the mansion. So this is the main room I have for it. And then there'll also be like props on like there, such as like candles that are lit, dark furniture, cobwebs, like stuff to just make the vibe more like creepy and stuff. And I feel like the lighting and sound, lighting is going to be very dark, but obviously bright enough to see. I want most of the light to come from like that yellow light that like candles light up. Like I want like a bunch of candles. There'll also be like flashes of lights. I'll explain that. I couldn't find like a video on it because it like didn't like it, but it makes sense in my head. Like, so for what I wanted to do, so like when like censored parts are happening, like when Oedipus gouges his eyes out and when Jocasta dies, like I want like the lighting to be like flash the lighting on like right before it happens, light flashes off like when it happens, and then like light flashes on like to see the aftermath of just what happened. So it's like the Greek tragedy, like the thought of the Greek tragedy is still there, but you don't see directly what happens. But like the whole tragedy and like scariness of it is still there. So for the sound, there's no music. It's kind of just like a low hum that like lightly plays in the background. I'll play it. Okay, so this is what the low hum sounds like. And I feel like a low like sound of it would play throughout most of it, and then like when like suspenseful or like important parts are happening, it gets a little louder, so like people know it's more suspenseful and important stuff. And then before, when I said like I want a bunch of candles and like the lighting like that, like lighting like that, like the yellowish and the orangish. And then so for costumes, so I said the costumes would just be the regular characters, just with different outfits on. So I said all the outfits will be of like colors and grays and blacks, and they also have masks on to make it a bit more like classical, like how we watched Oedipus during class, and like how they all had the masks on like that. So my thought for that was kind of like when you'd go to like a masquerade party, something like this, if that makes sense. So it's like a masquerade party, but they're all wearing black and like dark colors and like gothic emo, but like they have the masks on so you could still tell who they are, but like they have their characters. Okay, so for casting, for Oedipus, I have Timothy Chalamet. I'm not sure he's ever been on, like, done screenplay, but he's done, I feel like he's on the younger side. He's done a lot of good movies. He's very popular within, I feel like, the younger generations, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like he could play the gothic part well. I feel like he could play a lot of parts well, so I'd have faith in him. And then for Jocasta, I have Winona Ryder. A little bit older. She was in Beetlejuice. She was in Edward Scissorhands. Very gothic in both of those. Example. So I just feel like she'd be like very good to fit the theme of like gothic emo and stuff. And I just also feel like she'd be good in screenplay. Okay. And then for Creon, I have Christian Bale. Again, not sure if he was ever in screenplay. I'm not sure if that matters. I don't think it does. But I just feel like him in American Psycho was just like very like eerie and creepy. He could bring that to the play. Oh, I'll show you a photo. So just like, and I feel like he's just a very good actor. The way he was able to change like himself in like a bunch of movies that he's been in is just like really impressive to me, and I think he'd be able to take on the role. So then for Tiresias, I have Lin-Manuel Miranda. He is a screenplay actor. Obviously, he was in Hamilton. I just feel like he has darker features to him. like, I just think he could be dressed up as the emo way. He's obviously a screenplay actor, so he'd be able to. I just feel like Oedipus is, like, right up his alley, so I feel like he would be good at it. Then for Laius, I have Johnny Depp, because mainly, I don't think he was ever in screenplay either, but because of Edward Scissorhands, I just really liked his, like, tone and his aura on that, like, very emo, gothic, dark. Also, he's been in so many different movies, I feel like he'd still be able to do it. He just has, like, a very, like dark-ish tone and aura to him. So he definitely fit the vibe of everything that I'm going for, and I just feel like he'd be good on screenplay. Okay, so this one's a little outlandish, but I have Addison Rae as the messenger because she was recently in the Ed Gein show that just played. Like, this was her in it. And Messenger isn't a crazy big role compared to all the other ones. I just feel like she'd be really good in it. She can try screenplay. She might be good in it. Like, we need some diversity, some women in there. So I think she would be a good fit for the messenger. Then for the chorus, I have maids and servants of, like, the mansion. So, like, I feel like that's self-explanatory. They would literally just be, like, talking amongst themselves in the back. And then for the chorus, I have Zendaya. I just feel like it was to the leader of the chorus. Easy to throw her in there, but I feel like she'd be good at it too. Like I said, the chorus will be servants and maids of the mansion, and they will just be bystanders and they will chat amongst themselves. I also don't want any music. Just acting, no music. So the dictation of the play, I said it would be like a gothic, eerie, emo tone to it. Nothing too much like horror, but enough to make you feel, like, creeped out. And the language style will be more modern, but they will talk, like, slow and wise, if that makes sense. So the theme, or one of the main points that I want to show, is blindness in a family. Kinda, like, I just know, like, Jocasta definitely knew that Oedipus was her son. Like, you're a mother, how do you not know? So I just want to show that, like, blindness in a family just to avoid conflict in a way. And also the main way I want to show my version of the play is, like, the gothic, eerie, like, family tragedy. So for my first scene is the scene where Oedipus is talking, and he claims that he will save the city from Thebes and that he will find the murderer of Laios to lift the city from its curse. Well, I will start afresh and once again make dark things clear, right worthy the concern of Phoebes, worthy thine too, for the dead. I also, as is meet, will lend my aid to avenge this wrong to Thebes and to the god, not for some far-off kinsman but myself. Shall I expel this poison in the blood, for who slew that king might have a mind to strike me too with his assassin hand. Therefore, in wringing him, I serve myself. Up, children, haste ye, quit these altar stairs. Take hence your suppliant wands, go summon hither the Theban commons, with the gods' good help. Success is sure, 'tis ruin if we fall. So that quote just says how Oedipus explains how he will avenge the king Laius, but avenging him would both serve himself and Thebes in case the assassin wants to come after Oedipus. So the scene where Tiresias says that the murderer of Laius laid with his own mother and then became her husband will be acted out in the main room like I showed, and that's when the humming sound will become louder to make the scene eerie. The chorus will also be there chiming in and making quiet comments. Most of the cast will also be there. Here then, this man whom thou hast sought to arrest with threats and warrants this long while, the wretch who murdered Laius. That man is here, he passes for an alien in the land, but soon shall prove a Theban, native born. And yet his fortune brings him little joy, for blind of seeing, clad in beggar's weeds, for purple robes, and leaning on his staff. To a strange land he soon shall grope his way, and of the children, inmates of his home, he shall be proved the brother and the sire, of her who bare him son and husband both, co-partner and assassin for his sire. Go in and ponder this, and if thou find that I have missed the mark, henceforth declare I have no wit nor skill in prophecy. So for my third scene, I want to do when Oedipus talks about killing a man named Laius. I want to make it like a flashback, and I'm going to show how it happens. So this is when the flashing lights are going to come on, like, in and out, so, like, with the events that happen. The light will flash right before Laius gets killed, and then it will flash again after the fact that he had just been killed. So the scene shows how Oedipus finds out he is adopted and how his parents aren't really his. He then storms out and leaves driving with rage. While he's angry, he gets into an encounter while on the way back to Thebes with an old man and many of his servants. The old man does end up being his father, which he later finds out. One of the old man's servants tells Oedipus to move, and out of rage, the old man strikes Oedipus. He ends up killing all but one servant, and that's the one who goes and tells the story about what happened. For my fourth scene, I want the entire Exodus there. It's going to be shown with the backdrop of outside the mansion. It will have a low humming sound in the back, like the sound I said, to make the tone very dark and eerie. So everyone's going to be fighting and arguing with each other, and it will show the hanging of Jocasta and the stabbing of Oedipus with the effects of the light flashing again. At the end of the play, everyone finally puts all the pieces together, and they finally find out that Oedipus is Jocasta's child. So because of this, Jocasta kills herself, and Oedipus gouges his eyes out and blinds himself. And so that's my Oedipus Rex project in like an emo gothic tone.